Good evening. This is my video about the spike test for payment scenario, and this is the last video in my playlist for my homework of performance testing for the Toolshop website. Here the transaction is the same. It consists of 5 samplers: log in, get the user ID to use for invoice creation, then payment, then create an invoice, and then log out, which I have talked carefully about it in the previous videos. I also have 6 listeners here, just as I did for other test plans. Here, the only difference is that I use an ultimate thread group instead of a stepping thread group to have a better control of how the threads are added to the system. This is another plugin that I have to install. To the basic off-the-shelf JMeter. Here, first I will start 500 threads in 200 seconds. So basically it is like adding 50 users per 20 seconds. And this 500 threads will be active for the whole 680 seconds. So that is considered the baseline for the spike test. This is far under the normal load, and this is considered quite light for the system. And for the shutdown time or the ramp down time, it is at the same rate at the ramp up. And during this duration, I add 2 spikes. The first one happens right after the first 500 threads completely added into the system, and the rate is 10 times faster than the first thread group. So here, in just 20 seconds of ramp up time, I add 500 users, and this will be held for 30 seconds before it ramps down to the baseline. And then I add another spike, but this time I reduce the ramp down time to 10, which means that the rate is increased twice, from like 10 to 20 times higher than the baseline. And this will happen 100 seconds after the ramp down after the edit of this one. So the whole process of the first spike requires like 70 seconds. So basically 30 seconds after this second row completes, we add another 500 threads into the system with a higher rate. And the ramp down time is also similar to the ramp up time. It's also 10. This is a very steep decrease and increase. And then I add a recovery duration for the system, which will which will last for about 10 minutes before it starts to ramp down again. So the goal for this is also the error rate is lower than 2%, and the response time is not too high, maybe about the maximum may be about 1 minute. for the whole transaction on 130 seconds. So let's see, I don't know what will happen with this. So now let's see. So now we will run the test. We will override all of the existing file because I copy paste. Here we are reaching Here we are adding threads. We are still adding threads to our system. Here we have, we are at this point. We're at 2004 and we start this in about 2002, so we will reach the first spike in about 1 or 2 minutes. So here we can actually see that there's a spike in the system, and it gradually decreases to where the baseline sits. And now we are into the next spike. Here we can see that this line reaches a higher peak, and it is much steeper. The throughput is still as normal. The average is still fine. The maxima is not really bad. Here we see that after a 2 spike, the response time has come back to the baseline. And now we are in the recovery phase. The system is still at a normal response rate. So the test plan has ended, and let me clean all and then reload. So here we can see that for the it's just okay, so here we can see the response time, which gives the most insightful visualization of our system's behavior. We can see that there are 2 spikes here in the response time, and the timestamp correctly matches the spikes in our thread groups here. And this one is definitely steeper than this, and also it reaches a higher response time, which is about like 25 seconds. But luckily our system still recovers really fast and works smoothly as before the spikes. And here we can see all of the samplers or the request in our transaction follows the same pattern. They also have this spikes in their graphs, and they also recovers quickly after those spikes. And here in the summary report we can see that there are no errors, which is a positive sign, because that means that no timeout or socket close happened during this test plan, and the throughput is acceptable. This is comparable to the normal load. Overall, this test plan has passed the expected output, and this test case is marked as passed. Thank you very much for your time of watching this video, and this is also my last video in the playlist. See you soon in another videos in the future.